The Legend of Eleanor, A Century of Wisdom. Eleanor Whitaker was born on a chilly morning in June 1917 in a small riverside town called Riverton. From the moment she opened her bright blue eyes, there was something wise and curious about her. Her parents joked that she looked at the world as if she already knew its deepest secrets. Little did they know that one day Eleanor would live to be 108 years old and become a beloved living legend with invaluable wisdom to share. Growing up during a time of great change, Eleanor saw wars, pandemics, economic collapses, and times of peace. She witnessed the world transform from steam engines and letter writing to electric cars and digital video calls. Yet, through all of it, she held on to simple truths, the kind grounded in love, food, connection, and purpose. As a child, Eleanor spent her days exploring Riverton's lush fields, helping her mother in the garden, and learning from her grandmother, Marjorie. Her grandmother, a spry woman in her 70s, maintained that life's secret was in the soil beneath one's feet. She taught Eleanor how to grow vegetables, harvest herbs, and appreciate every seed's potential. Eleanor never forgot those lessons. When Eleanor turned 18, she moved to the city to pursue further education. At a time when few women studied beyond basic schooling, she became a nutritionist, a field that perfectly matched her love for food, health, and science. Even then, she believed that food is more than fuel, it is medicine, memory, and meaning combined. For decades, Eleanor advised people from all walks of life, farmers, athletes, scientists, and homemakers. But as years passed, she felt a calling to live what she taught. She began her own journey of health, commitment, and joy. When she married Thomas Whitaker at the age of 26, she brought her passion for wholesome living into their home. Together, they built a little life filled with laughter, music, morning walks, and hearty meals. Thomas worked as a school teacher, and although their life wasn't lavish, it was rich in experiences, hobbies, conversations, children, and community. Their daughter, Grace, inherited her mother's curiosity, and Eleanor made sure her home was always full of stories, books, and warmth. By the time Eleanor was 50, she had already lost her mother and father, but she still carried their wisdom with her every day. Thomas, her partner in all things, was her anchor. They celebrated each birthday with family and friends, each milestone steeped in reflection and gratitude. When Thomas passed away at 87, Eleanor was heartbroken. But instead of retreating into sorrow, she chose gratitude. She would often say that grief is love's testimony. While it hurts, it also shows how deeply we've cherished someone. Her resilience was nothing short of inspiring. Into her 90s, Eleanor continued gardening. Her hands, though wrinkled and speckled with age spots, still moved skillfully among soil and seedlings. She walked every morning by the river, feeling the early breeze against her face. Her neighbors often joked that she knew the river's rhythm better than any clock. On her 100th birthday, the town of Riverton made her an honorary citizen forever. Dozens turned out to celebrate her century of life. News reporters came, curious about her secret. But Eleanor only smiled and said, "I don't know about secrets, but I know what has helped me." In a video interview that would later go viral, she sat in her cozy living room, her blue eyes as sharp and bright as ever, her voice steady and smiling. "I'm 108. These 7 foods are why I'm still alive," she began calmly, much like she was telling a story to a child by the fireplace. What followed was a list that would captivate millions worldwide. Leafy greens. Eleanor spoke of spinach, kale, collard greens, and mustard greens. She said she ate them every week, in salads or lightly cooked with olive oil. "Greens give your body what medicine can't, gentle strength," she said. For Eleanor, leafy greens were like a protective shield, keeping her blood pressure steady and her joints flexible. Whole grains. Brown rice, oats, barley, and whole grain bread were staples in her diet. Simple, slow-burning energy, she laughed. She explained that whole grains were the foundation of her day, slow to digest, rich in fiber, and always satisfying. Nuts and seeds. Almonds, walnuts, sunflower seeds. Eleanor kept a jar of mixed nuts in her kitchen. She shared that a handful every afternoon kept her heart strong and her mind alert. They are tiny, but they carry the strength of giants, she once said to her granddaughter berries. Eleanor loved berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. She often froze them in the winter to enjoy year-round. Berries make memory sweet, she joked. But she also meant it literally, their antioxidants helped her stay mentally sharp. Fish. Once or twice a week, she enjoyed fish rich in omega-3, like salmon and sardines. Good fats are not the enemy, she emphasized. She explained that these fats helped keep her heart and brain in harmony. Soups and broths. In her later years, she became an inspiration. Thousands wrote to her, asking for advice on life and longevity. Some sent gifts of food, others sent letters filled with thanks and admiration. But Eleanor responded simply, live with love, eat with intention, and find joy every day. She also shared that food is not about perfection but connection. She encouraged people not to chase diets, but to build habits that made their bodies and minds feel good. People around the world tried her teachings. Some found that eating more greens boosted their energy. Others began daily walks or afternoon tea routines that brought peace to hectic lives. Her message spread far beyond Riverton, crossing borders and cultures. On her 108th birthday, her daughter Grace gave a speech that moved many to tears. She said, "My mother didn't just live long, she lived well. And because she lived well, she helped others live better too." And when Eleanor passed peacefully a few weeks later, the town of Riverton held a beautiful remembrance, not mournful, but filled with gratitude. Her legacy was not just years but the wisdom she shared that helped others cherish their own lives. Conclusion. Eleanor's story, inspired by the video I'm 108. These 7 foods are why I'm still alive, teaches us that longevity comes not from miracles but from simple, consistent habits rooted in healthy food, meaningful connections, movement, and purpose. YouTube. Her life reminds us that living well isn't about perfection, it's about intention, gratitude, and joy in everyday moments. And in honoring those principles, we may just find our own paths to long, meaningful lives.